What's up, good people out there in YouTube land? It is the Bad Wolf. Let's get into this bad boy, right? All right. So, in this particular segment, we will be talking about something that is not exactly um my channel base, but it is, but it isn't. All right. So, in this particular case, it's going to be talking about the crypto tax. Now, of course, crypto is not something I really usually talk about. But tax or taxation or the lack thereof and how to deal with that is definitely something that we do cover. So, but before we get into it, I want to thank all the people that have been supporting me over on jamesclovett.com. The visits mean a lot, even for the even though whether you buy or not, just going there helps the algorithm. It shows people that this is something of interest, and the AI and systems then perpetuate it and show it to other people out there. So it helps, even if you do not buy anything. We have great prices. They are the streaming um, private videos for nationals only. They are not for public or public persons or anything of that nature. So thank you for that. So when it comes to crypto, it is something that's somewhat relatively new to me, and obviously it's new for a lot of you guys as well. And what I will say is this. This information here is generally what I would put on my other YouTube channel, which is the Bad Wolf Unlimited or else Bad Wolf Media channel. Okay, my two other channels on YouTube. Don't be fooled by the imitators out there. All right. But I did want to bring that a little bit over here, and as I start to work on my other channels more, um, I will kind of cross play everything. Majority of my normal stuff here and a little bit of that stuff, and then over there, a little bit of this stuff, and then a majority of that. And Bad Wolf Unlimited is going to talk about everything and anything. Nothing's off the table. Um, and then Bad Wolf Media Channel is going to focus on just what we see in the news, and we're going to try to. I'm going to give you from what I've learned how a lot of these things move, what's really going on behind the scenes, uh, and a lot of other interesting things. Okay. So we still haven't fully figured out the format, but that is the gist of it. So I digress. So when it comes to crypto, we know that no matter how many of you guys like it or don't like it, and my opinion doesn't matter, your opinion doesn't really matter. It's going to be the future. They're going to phase out cash. They don't like it. They want to get rid of it. They'll come up with an excuse. They'll start to either tell you it's dirty, it carries viruses, um, it's got drugs on it, been in strippers' booty holes, um, it costs more to print it and produce it than it's worth. When we think that this will help us crack down on crime, they're going to give you some. Mark my words, hand to God, mark my words. I already know they've been talking about this in the back channel for over 20 years that I've known about. It could be even longer. So, like I said, when you get to sit in with some of these people, some of these elites and wealthy and whatever else, and some of the people I know are in the real Illuminati. Some of the people are in different mafias. Some are gang people, high level things, Some are business owners with power. Some are politicians. When you have these types of people, and I've been very fortunate, but also, unfortunate in some situations, to know some of these people and to move with them. You learn from them, and they live in a completely different world than average people. I mean, I would like to think at this point in time, I'm a hybrid of many different things. I mean, I grew up in the hood, and then we moved out when I was still pretty young to a non-mixed neighborhood that's now mixed, but it wasn't mixed at the time. So that was a problem. All right. I just learned to kind of acclimate to wherever I'm at. If I'm in church, I behave like I'm in church. If I'm in all black, all white, all eight, whatever it is, because I've got a lot of this all in my family anyway. I just acclimate, and that is just who I am. All right. I'm not pretending to be this or that. I've lived around all black, all white, all Jewish, all um or Spanish, Asian, whatever. These are my normal people, my normal friends and family. So when you're around them, you learn things. And a lot of things that I've learned, I put and have and will continue to put that which I can share on the channel. And whether you guys want to believe it or not is up to you. But I'm not like most people who are going to sit here and lie and, whatever else. Like, it's just the truth is far more entertaining. And yeah, I don't have all the greatest stories in the world, but once again, that's just what it is. My truth, my experiences. Nobody has all the knowledge. But anyway, I digress. So we know that well, you should know it's a good thing to invest in some of these cryptocurrencies because much like Bitcoin or whatever else that they thought wasn't, and all the people out there that told you, oh, Bitcoin is fake, even Trump, Bitcoin is fake money, this, that, and the other. Don't invest in any of that stuff. All these people, all these countries, all these banks, they all said that. You know why they said that? Because they didn't want you to invest in it. They wanted to scare you guys off of it. Because every single one of those people, persons, and places I just mentioned are all investing in it quietly and a lot more than what you can do. And guess what happens when they keep doing what they're doing? It hits a pinnacle point of crescendo where now you guys can't get the money. You've been left out of the boys club. I was one of the first people to invest in Bitcoin. And then unfortunately I lost my key, which is a horrible, sad thing, to the tune of about 7.8 million dollars right about now if I had it. So there's that tier. So do what you want to do. I'm not saying to invest or not to invest. I'm just telling you that no matter what, between now and the time either you retire or your kids start working, a majority of our transactions are all going to be digital and based on and with supported by some type of XRP, XLM, XDC, SOL, HBAR. So do whatever you guys want to do. But the big thing here I want to get to is the taxability. Now, I've gone back and forth with the tax stuff and then crypto and it's taxable, it's not taxable, it still hasn't been completely defined and challenged and settled to a solid understanding because there's a lot of new products in this digital area that are coming out. But let's take a look at Texas. Well, Texas state and state of Texas, two different things, but operating in the same area. So let's take a look. They've got something going on where it is that crypto is going to be looked at in their particular state as tax exempt. So it says in Texas, there is no state income tax on cryptocurrency transactions. Now, let's pay attention to the word, making it one of the most crypto friendly states in the U.S. However, federal taxes apply, and cryptocurrency is treated as property, meaning you must report all gains okay, from selling, trading, or spending crypto while mining or staking rewards are taxed as ordinary income. You need to keep accurate records of all transactions, including dates, values, and purposes to comply with IRS requirements. Now, there's some problems in here because depending on how much money you've put in and then how much you make, like there's a tax flux in there. I should not be taxed on a percentage of it, but they're still working things out. So right now, the IRS has, what is it, a 1099 DA, which may be what I label this video. I don't know. I may just do a video on that separately, or maybe we'll talk about it. Whatever, we'll see where it goes. But whoever you're buying through, your exchange or whatnot, should at the end of the year be providing it. Now, there's a little bit of a leeway this first year, but it's going to tighten up as the years go on. But it also says recent legislative efforts are being made to potentially eliminate capital gains on cryptocurrencies, which could further enhance the state's appeal for crypto investments. Now, a lot of people are going to be moving their locations and whatever to Texas for this reason. But shall I dare to coin the term here first as a Texas crypto trust or a Texas trust? Shall I coin the word? Now, I don't know if it's really already out there, but I'm going to be the first person to say, because they just did the Texas income tax exemption on cryptocurrency. I, the Badwolf, do hereby coin the term Texas Crypto Trust or Texas Trust. Why? Because it's one, it's going to be great for the algorithm. But two, because here's my thought. If Texas is tax exempt for crypto income, now we could battle and define all of this down to the letter and challenge all of this, but let's just keep it on the surface right now. I'm not going to look at it on the deeper legal level. Just keep it pretty surface level. Well, then why would I not then domicile my trust in Texas Republic or Republic of Texas in the private? Then legally and technically, does that not then make my trust for crypto, if I domicile it, meaning my address is Texas based, and I say it's in accordance with the Republic of Texas or Texas Republic laws under the Constitution, then doesn't it make it tax exempt? Well, we know that it definitely does on the state level. There might be something there too then on the federal level, especially if it's under the Texas Constitution. Just saying. But in general, if you want to reduce per the IRS's IRM manual, even though they're not the law, but according to them, as long as you pre-plan your event, so then this would be a way, and we'll leave federal alone for right now. It's not for this video. We're just going to focus on state. So if you want to reduce or minimize your tax obligation, income tax obligation, then domiciling your trust in Texas and making a Texas crypto trust would be the way to go, right? Logically. I mean, Texas already said that if it, there's no income on taxes in their state. You're still technically obligated for the federal side, but like I said, we'll leave that alone for now. I gave you my theory on that. But we already know for income purpose on the state level, if your compensation is directed through your trust and your trust is domiciled through a address or Texas itself, then wherever you're operating from, your compensation as far as state wise is null and void. Now, let's break it down though. Does this work for if you do a revocable where it's registered to them? Yeah, because they just said, yeah, your crypto is tax exempt here. Now remember, this is not legal advice. Do your own research, as I've told you to do with my work and anybody else's, especially. But as far as forming an irrevocable there, domiciling it, yeah. you're saving your tax obligation on the state level. Federal, well, we'll still have to play with that. We've got some theories running in the background, and so far things are looking pretty well. As long as you pre-plan your events. So that might be a consultation for certain people. But yeah, so let's kind of take a rundown on that. I believe I did some chatting, all the chatter. See what we can find. Yeah. I may or may not be able to find this, so bear with me one moment. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. You guys are feeling well. All right. I'm just trying to see if I did a. Well, you know what? If not, I'll just start one. How about that? Give me one more moment here. Work amongst yourselves, as the teachers used to always say. All right. I'm not seeing it. Ooh, ooh, wait, wait. Nope. All right. So let's just do this. Start a new chat. Okay. So if Texas is now crypto friendly by means of no state income taxes on crypto, is it safe to say a Texas crypto trust could be formed to avoid taxes on the state level, which this should be a yes. It's pretty simple. Yes, at the state level, federal level reality. The IRS still taxes crypto. Okay, so this would be with their okay. So how to properly and legally avoid IRS federal tax on crypto. So the crypto is treated as property, not as currency. So under the Puerto Rico Act of 60, an individual investor act, if you change bona fide residency to Puerto Rico, you can avoid it. So this would mean having your trust domiciled in Puerto Rico. creating a charitable remainder trust, CRT. Once again, the irrevocable trust. Offshore trust or offshore LLC. Tax loss harvesting. Opportunity zone rollover. Invested into a qualified opportunity fund within 180 days. Gifting before realization. So a trust in Texas alone won't do it. Okay, if you're trying to avoid all of it. All right. Um, so what about an IUL? For those people who don't know, an IUL is Index Universal Life. So an IUL can absolutely be part of a lawful crypto strategy, not because it changes how crypto is taxed when you sell it, but because it changes where the gains end up and how they are treated afterwards under the IRS code. Okay, so that is another strategy. Okay, so I asked, it said, so transferring ownership to the of it to the IUL or gifting the alleged income to it or another exempt entity like a pass-through. It says it's absolutely doable, but the legal tax effect depends on when and how you do it under the Internal Revenue Code. So let's go step by step. IULs can't directly hold crypto. Okay, an IUL is an insurance contract under IRC 7702. It's not a wallet or a trust. Hmm. I don't know. I might almost would challenge that but I guess because the IUL isn't, it would be, it's a contract, so it doesn't have a name, but it does probably have a number. Now, my theory is if you converted that number into an entity, then that contract itself becomes an entity, and then it would then be able to own it. Theory. Do not quote me. This is not legal advice. This part, I always tell you guys a difference. Now, we could also challenge the word income, and then there's an ownership issue I've been challenging with crypto. If you personally own the crypto when sold, you owe federal taxes on gain, even if you send the proceeds into a IUL the next minute. So technically, you would have to create the entity, and then the account would have to be in its name. So you control the account, but you create the entity and thereby avoid this because your name and social right now is linked to it. That's what I'm getting out of that. Gifting before realization. So the IRS would call it step transaction abuse when you're trying to take it from your account, give it to something else, and then try to put it into something tax exempt. So before you sell it is the problem. If you want crypto gains to enter INO without paying, you need first move ownership of the crypto tax to a tax exempt or a tax neutral entity before the sale. The IUL can then be owned by that entity or related trust, giving you no federal tax, tax-free growth inside the IUL. Awesome. Okay. All right, all right. Let me ponder for a second here. Okay. Let me ask it a question again. Let me see here. What if you sell crypto first while it's still in your name, even if the proceeds never touched your personal bank account and go directly to tax exempt entity, the IRS will still treat the gain as taxable to you. Okay. So it really comes in at that the account ownership needs to be transferred over to another entity. Now, with certain other measures, you could, so you're going to, so you may trigger compliance with the IRS because of how you filled out the original application. And the transfer from, while the account is in your name as taxable from their perspective, that's a problem. So you would need to put it in different ownership before that. But if you do it, you do have the ability to argue certain aspects, which Chad is not going over in here. You do have the ability to transfer or challenge rather. But believe you me, if they catch up with you, they're going to want to know, and you're going to have your stuff right, which we've already done. You can't argue certain issues, and we've been probably about 90% successful at this point with it. Um, but it takes time of doing these things and with some of the groups of people that I work with who have volunteered to be like, I'll try something, and they're doing it of their own free will and accord. They're not being paid for it. They're just willing to do some things. And I appreciate those people and appreciate the people who've given me tips, tricks, and techniques and legal remedies, etc. Um, we like before we put it on the public side, we like to vet it thoroughly. Unlike a lot of people who don't vet their information, just say some things and don't prove the methods work, we don't do that here. So as of right now, we've given you a little bit of taste on how to operate with your crypto. Let's take a look at the form. Now, you know what? We'll save it for the next video. Whatever. Uh, so coming up with the next video, what is the 1099 DA the IRS has for crypto people? But see, here's what my thought is that I think there'll come a point, let's say you bought XRP or this Bitcoin or whatever else, and they're considering it taxable on the federal level, blah, blah, blah. I think that at some point in time, and this maybe I'm giving out $1 million, $1 billion idea, or I'm sure they'll probably already have it or even working on it. Um, but it would be to just create a debit card right from there and keep it as such. So then you don't even have to worry about selling it because you're not selling it, you're merely trading it. Or if you look at it that way, for other things, they accept it. But then somehow another, I'm sure there will be some type of way where they'll still try to tax you for the goods. So there will be some kind of tax on the crypto. It'll always be something. One man makes it, the other man breaks it. So you can get lost in this stuff. But anyway, guys, that's it. I'm about to go take lunch, and then I'm going to do some research on the 1099 DA IRS form. So let's get going. Talk to you guys later. Peace.